What's going on all? Thanks for tuning in once again. Let's talk Chisora versus Joyce after the fight. And that's exactly what it was, you know. It was a fight. It was a war between the two. Great to watch. You know, Joyce, hell of a chin. You know, it just shows how hard Zhang hits. You know, I mean, Chisora threw everything at him. You know, everything at him. And he started exactly how I thought, you know, using the left hook, you know, making Joyce think about the left hand and then landing that signature overhand right. But I mean, Joyce, you know, wasn't moving his head, basically just taking the shot, coming forward, you know, just a solid chin he has, you know, Joyce. And like I say, I mean, it just shows how hard Zhang hits. You know, Chisora, a guy that, you know, has a hell of a punch, that overhand right, you know, if landed properly can take out any heavyweight. And Joyce was taking it countless times, you know, and I think, you know, it was very surprising, you know, for me, because I thought that Joyce would get the knockout, in the later rounds. You know, Joyce is a guy that, you know, when he fights, he tends to, you know, pick up the pace as the rounds go on, like, you know, midway through to late rounds. You know, it seems like he gets stronger. But, you know, in this case, Chisora, you know, he just kept throwing those big punches. And there were times when Chisora was in trouble and he would just, you know, tie him up. And, you know, just a great game plan from Chisora. You know, when the referee was stepping in, you know, he would throw back. You know, you could tell there was a couple of times where the ref was going to stop the fight. You know, Chisora taking punishment, but Joyce as well. You know, massive shots from Chisora. And I think it was a good thing that it was a 10-round fight. I think that's the sort of fights that Chisora should have. You know, the 10-rounders, you know, allows him to pace himself a bit better. I mean, getting the knockdown in the 9th round, no one saw that coming. You know, that was a great way to just, you know, to win the fight. You know, it was a pretty even fight. I thought that Chisora was more effective. You know, I always did say, you know, at the start of the video, I said, Chisora's got a harder punch, but the consistency of Joyce, you know, just coming forward non-stop with the jab, you know, and Chisora, you know, he was able to annihilate that jab by, you know, riding the shots, throwing hooks, you know, just fought a great fight. You know, Chisora couldn't have had a better fight. I mean, it will be a great way to end his career. You know, I think it's definitely one of his best wins for sure, you know, beating a silver medalist in that fashion as well. You know, just the heart, determination, digging deep to get the win, you know. And I think a lot of it was also to do with, you know, having his last fight at the O2. You know, at the end of the fight, he doesn't leave the O2. You know, just very heartfelt. Just gave it his all, you know, all from the heart, and left it in the ring. Threw everything at Joyce, you know. Joyce, I think, you know, his downfall in this fight was just coming in too heavy again. You know, I mean, you would think that he would have learned his lesson from that second Zhang fight. You know, came in a bit heavy. He's already slow as it is. You know, putting on extra weight's gonna make him a fraction slower. And you know, that was the wrong game plan for him. You know, the weights, and just not, you know, just going for the knockout a bit too much. You know, he should have used his reach. You know, used the jab. You know, he was basically right in Chisora's face in the whole fight, taking big shots. You know, round after round, and eventually, you know, the right shot landed. You know, the right shot landed, and Chisora again, you know, as I mentioned in the breakdown, needs to stay underneath Joyce's chin, you know, and that's exactly what he done. You know, this way Joyce can't really see that punch coming, that overhand right. And Joyce overcommits in the 9th round. And, you know, mind you, by then I had it pretty even. You know, I thought if Joyce wins these next 2 rounds, he wins the fight. And he was winning that 9th round. And then Chisora, you know, lands that knockdown, which basically was the decider, in my opinion. You know, I mean, you could look at this fight and you could say, hey, both guys are getting beaten up, you know, but I mean, when a guy gets knocked down, especially from a punch that's been landed throughout the whole punch, you know, the judges are going to say, well, you know, effective punches, this is the most effective punch, which is the overhand right. And, you know, that was the money shot there, you know, that knockdown. I was going for Chisora, you know, I was hoping that Chisora would win. You know, I'm a Chisora fan. I like what he brings to the table, just building up the fight. You know, the guy's fought everybody, you know, he's the Sean Porter of heavyweights, you know, fighting everybody. And I believe he's going to fight Dillian Whyte next. You know, that should be another classic. And it could go either way. But I mean, in this fight, Joyce, I think he's still got, you know, more fights in him, but he's got to avoid these big punches, you know, Sang, possibly Wilder. You know, I mean, I don't know what's happening with Wilder, but I mean, guys that can punch hard, you know, he's got to avoid them, because he just doesn't have the head movement to, you know, to avoid it. He just doesn't. You know, his defense, like I said at the start, his defense is his offense. You know, he uses his jab basically to back guys off, to hurt guys and break them down. But I mean, guys that can slip punches, you know, which we saw with Chisora in this fight, you know, he was slipping the punches, he was riding the big blows, and he was able to, you know, land some meaningful shots. You know, it's not going to work out well for Joyce, you know. So who he fights next, I think he should avoid the big punches. You know, I don't think that he can ever beat Sang if he was to have a third fight with him. But I mean, styles makes fights, and Joyce is just one of those guys that can't handle big punches. And Chisora, you know, he has a big punch on him, that overhand right. I did mention at the start, you know, he's a guy that punches harder than Joyce in terms of single punches. You know, he's got that. So I mean, great performance from Dalboy. You know, well deserved win. And I want to see, definitely want to see Dalboy again. You know, a lot of people are saying it's time for him to hang up the gloves. But I mean, I would love to see, you know, him fight Whyte for the 3rd time, because the first time I thought he won. Second time he was winning before he got dropped, and I think, you know, both of those guys, you know, will be another classic. I'm all for it, but I mean, obviously if he retires, I'm happy as well. You know, he gets to relax and, you know, still have his head on his shoulders and things like that. But I mean, as Chisora says, you know, the balls need to be paid, and Dalboy versus Whyte, I'm definitely keen to watch that. What did you think of the fight? Leave your take, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.